Time to sling some paint. Hi everybody, and welcome back to Plastic Models by a Regular Dude, part number 4 of the Revell 132 scale Messerschmitt Bf109G 10. So in the last episode, I left off with finalizing the primary construction and getting all of that done so I could move on to paint. So as you can see, I've already done some paint and I have done some masking. So let me explain a little bit about where I am and where I'm getting ready to head next. Alright, so the first thing I did was I primed the whole thing in gray, Vallejo gray primer. Got that all done. Then I sprayed this portion here, which, let's see, on the version that I'm doing, the metallic portion, I sprayed that with Vallejo Gloss Black primer. Then I used Vallejo Metal Colors Aluminum and got all that sprayed. So once that was done, I got it all taped off, and then using Vallejo Model Air RLM 76, I sprayed all the parts that needed it. So the version that I am doing is this one right here, Bf109G 10 Black 13. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Bf109G 10 Black 22. Pilot and location unknown. It's a 5JG52 aircraft. So the reason I chose this one is I like the color scheme. It's a little bit different. It's got some yellow on it, which I already did, and got that the yellow rudder, the yellow nose, and I got that taped off. So apparently this aircraft here was painted in a kind of a standard scheme of RLM 76 up the sides, and then RLM 74 and 75 to do the upper portions as illustrated in the instructions here, then with some modeling. Well, according to the description down here, this aircraft, this aircraft seems to have had a tail unit and engine cowling in the late war scheme fitted to a regular 74, 75, 76 fuselage. In an attempt to blend the parts together, a heavy module of RLM 81 has been applied to the fuselage. The wing was painted in RLM 81 on top with a straight leading edge demarcation, natural metal undersurfaces. So, in other words, let's see, let me get my other deal here. So, apparently this was the late war scheme. RLM 81 was what was used, and it was painted over the whole thing except the lower portion of the wings. So, it seems as if this particular aircraft had the tail and the cowling, the engine cowling portions in the late war scheme. So what they did is, you know, once those were installed, then they sprayed the rest of it real heavily, but you can still see some of the RLM 76 and a little bit of the, what would that be? RLM 74. Kind of visible a little bit. So that was one of the reasons I like this, because I like somewhat, you know, different paint schemes. So that's what I did. So what I've done so far is I got the RLM 76 painted, as I said. Got the yellow painted, taped off. Then using the Vallejo RLM 81, I sprayed the cowling and I sprayed the tail, and then I got it taped off so I can now use a more typical 109G 10 paint scheme. So I'm going to spray 74 and 75 on the upper wings, just like this, on the upper surface of the fuselage. And then if I have to do any touch up with the RLM 76 to make sure my demarcation is proper between the upper colors and the RLM 76, once I get that all done and it has a chance to dry really well, then I'm going to come back in with the RLM 81 and spray all this. But I'm leaving this stuff taped off because I want a nice demarcation where the tail was added and where the front cowling was attached. So that's what's coming up for this thing. So what I'm getting ready to do right now is paint the RLM 74, and I'm using the Vallejo Model Air for that, gray-green RLM 74. As a quick note, I want to talk about this RLM 81 that I've applied. Now, I did not realize it was this brown. Looking at the illustration on the instructions from Eagle Cals, or yeah, Barracuda Cals, it looks real gray. And I thought that was weird, and I thought, well, maybe Vallejo just really screwed up badly on the color. So I did a lot of research on the interwebs and discovered that yes, it truly was a brownish color, brownish gray maybe. So I was cool with it. That told me enough. Now, if you watch my channel for a while, you may know that I did a, I can't remember if it was a short or if it was an actual long video. I think it was a short, talking about paint colors. And I think I titled it, Paint Color Just Doesn't Matter. It doesn't. Now, what I mean by that is, yes, I want the colors to be correct, air quotes, correct, but I'm not going to be a stickler as to the shade. So, like, if you get 3 different paint manufacturers and you line up their RLM 74 side by side, each one's going to be different than the other. Are any of them correct? I have no idea. I've only seen these aircraft in color photos that are generally not that great, or black and white. And I can't interpret black and white into color to save my life. Apparently there are those that can, but I'm not one of them. So I get it close enough. It will give the general idea of what I'm going for, and there's no use in stressing or arguing or fretting about it. So just wanted to throw that in to let you know that if these colors look maybe a little weird compared to others, then, well, that's because it's the brand of paint I'm using. And I'm not just overly concerned about exact shades. All right? Enough of that. Soapbox kicked out from under my feet. So I am going to spark up the airbrush and do this RLM 74 colors, and then I'll come back and let you take a look at what I've done thus far. All right, so I've got the first color on there, the RLM 74. Is that what I said I was doing? Let's see. No, yes. RLM 74. So I got that on. Wings, fuselage, and I'm pretty stoked for a couple of reasons. This is the first time I've done any close-in work with the Vallejo Model Air in probably well over 10 years. Probably closer to 13. And using a 0.5 needle and nozzle in my trigger airbrush, my TRN1, I got a halfway decent spray. Now, it's not perfect, obviously, but it doesn't need to be, because it's just got to give the impression of the camouflage underneath, because the RLM 81 is going over top. So, but I'm really stoked, and with a little bit of, thinning and turning down of the macro valve, I'm pretty confident I could get some really nice tight stuff, especially once I get my 0.3 needle and nozzle replacements. So I got that. I'm stoked. I'm gonna let it dry a little bit, then I will hit it with the RLM 75, which will be basically the rest of the stuff where this 74 isn't. And then once that dries, then I can go over it again with the RLM 81, leaving just a vague impression of the colors underneath showing through, and kind of a really heavy mottling on the sides. And once I do that, paint should be for the most part done. I will have to let everything dry good and mask off and spray the frame of the canopy and the windscreen, because that is supposed to be RLM 70 or RLM 66, which is that real dark gray. So I'm gonna let that sit for a little bit, then I will hit it with the RLM 75 and come back. Okay, here it is. And I succeeded in what I wanted to do. I wanted to have the different colors show through a little bit. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry good, and then I'm going to tape off around this so I can paint the framework RLM 66. Then once I do that, I should be able to pull the tape off and do a clear coat and get ready for decals. All right, here we are. So I got the paint complete, and I got a clear coat on. I used the All-Clad Aqua Gloss for my clear coat. That seems to be the one I use the most these days. I like it the best. It works really well. You just pour it straight out of the bottle and off you go. So now I am ready for decals. Okay, so I'm ready to do the decals, and what I need to do first, I want to do the common decals, which are like all the stencils and stuff like that first, and have those in place. So using the kit, I'm going to use the kit decals for that, for the stencils, because they are printed by Cartograph, so they're really nice decals. So I'll do all those first. And there are lots of them, but I'm going to do that, and then once I get those done, then I can move on to the actual Barracuda Cals specific decals for this, for the aircraft that I'm doing. All right, so I've got the left side or port side of the aircraft decaled. And I just now finished all these little teeny, I don't know if you can see them from the angle, but there's these little small numbers, I guess, that correspond with the segments of the fuselage. So I've got all those, the common ones, and then the ones specific to this aircraft. And I've used a combination of the Cartograph decals supplied by Revell for the common stuff, and then the Barracuda Cals for the more specific to this aircraft decals. Now, so far they've all went on rather well. I did have one come apart, but thank goodness I had extras, and that was 100% my fault. But yeah, so all this side is done. Now, what I've been using to apply these decals is this Tamiya Mark Fit decal solution. I have Mark Fit, and I also have the Mark Fit Strong, but the Mark Fit, that's all I'm using. I put a little bit down, put the decal, and then use this brush to kind of squeegee out any of the solution that might be built up underneath, and without having to add any extra, these decals have settled into the recessed panel lines and other detail. No sweat. I haven't put any extra on or anything. And I think it's a combination of the fact that this stuff really is good, but also because the type of decals matter a ton as to how easy they go down. There's some brands like Tamiya decals can be kind of thick sometimes, hence their need to make a mark fit strong, I believe. Their decals can be kind of thick. There are some Academy armor kits that the decals, they're horrible. For me, they're unusable. They're so thick, I can't get them to conform to save my life. If it's just going on a plain flat surface with no detail or panel lines or rivets or anything like that, they'll stick, but they are very noticeably thick and they really stand out from the surface. These, great. Cartograph, the Barracuda cals, they're very, very good decals. Strong, so you can move them around. Like this one here, I had to actually grab it and pull it to line it up properly, and there was no tears, no stretching. Now when I first had the solution on there, it looked like there were some wrinkles. Well, there were some wrinkles in the clear carrier film part of this cross decal, Balkenkreuz, but they smoothed out. So voila. So I'm gonna let all these cure really well before I flip the aircraft around and do the other side, because the way I have it tilted on this this base here, I don't want it to accidentally rub anything off. So we'll come back. Okay then, all of the decals are on. Top, bottom, ready to roll for a clear coat. So what I am going to do, you can see where some of the decal solution has, rolled down underneath, and there's film on the some of the decals. So I'm going to take a damp something, wipe it all down really good to get all that discoloration off, and then let it sit overnight, and then I can start thinking about some weathering. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this video right here. So this will end part number 4 of the Revell 132 scale Bf109G 10. So if you enjoyed this video and you haven't yet, maybe hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you've had any experience with one of these kits and you'd like to share your experience, or just have any comments in general, put them in the comments section down below. I'd love to hear from you. So that's it for this part. So until next time, thank you for watching Plastic Models by a Regular Dude, and I'll see you all later.